Revelation 14, verse 9. They came to life again and they reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. That sounds like 1,000 years of bliss, doesn't it? To reign with Christ for 1,000 years? But look at verse 5. But the rest of the dead did not live again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection. Who is this rest of the dead? Verse 4. We mentioned people coming to life again and reigning with Christ. Verse 6 also has something to say about that. So let's go ahead and read that too. There we read, "Blessed and holy are those who share in the first resurrection. For them the second death holds no power, but they will be priests of God and of Christ and will reign with Him 1,000 years." Okay, now we've got something else to look at as well. There's a second death. Logic says that if you have a first resurrection, it's labeled that way, so therefore there must be a second resurrection. And if you have a second death, you must have had a... Okay, so we've got four bits of information here that we need to look at. First death, that would be what those of us who live on planet Earth get to have. Wages of sin is death. Okay, so that's our goal in life. The first resurrection is described in 1 Thessalonians. Let's go there. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 16, page 624. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4 and verse 16. "For the Lord Himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of an archangel." Yeah, let's try that again. "With the voice of an archangel," angel. Easy for my tongue to say. "And with the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first." So, why a second death? Who gets to be in that group? Second group? Revelation 21:8. Don't have to keep your finger. We're going to bounce back to Revelation 21:8, which is on page 653. Revelation 21, verse 8. This lays it out very plainly of who gets to be in this group of the second death. "But cowards who turn away from me, and unbelievers, and the corrupt, and murderers, and the immoral, and those who practice witchcraft, and idol worshippers, and all liars, their doom is in the lake that burns with fire and brimstone. This is the second death." Not exactly a good group of people to be associated with, by the way, either. But this raises another question. How do they die again? If you're going to die twice, there's got to be a reason. Turn backwards to Acts chapter 24. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts. Page 591. Acts chapter 24 and verses 14 and 15. Here Paul writes, "This I do admit to you, that according to the way, I worship the God of our ancestors, and I believe everything that is in accordance with the law and written in the prophets. I have the same hope in God as they themselves have, that there will be a resurrection of the righteous and of the unrighteous." Think about that for just one moment. Paul says, "I have the same hope in God as they themselves have, that there will be a resurrection of the righteous and the unrighteous." Turn backwards to the book right before Acts, which is the book of John. John chapter 5, verses 28 and 29. You'll find this on page 563. Good words here. It says, "Do not marvel at this. Do not marvel at this, for the hour is coming in which all who are in the graves will" what? "Hear His voice and come forth. Those who have done good to the resurrection of life, and those who have done evil to the resurrection of condemnation. And another version that I read says, those who have done evil will rise to judgment, which is a good way to interpret that. Why else would they be resurrected? Just for the fun of it? No. 2 Corinthians 5:10 tells us why. 2 Corinthians 5:10, page 611. 2 Corinthians. Makes a difference. This tells us why there's going to be that. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ. And then it tells you why. So that each one may receive recompense according to what he did in the body, whether good or evil. Does that make sense? Turn backwards some more. Back to Matthew, first book in the New Testament. Matthew chapter 16 and verse 17. Page 518. Matthew 16 and verse 17. Here Jesus is talking. For the Son of Man will come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he will reward each according to his works. Or another translation says, he will judge all people according to their deeds. And we already know what that group is like from what we read earlier.
That's incorrect.
Did I read something wrong?
Yeah, 16:17 is not what you just read to us.
Okay. It sure isn't. Okay. It was when I did this.
You're doing a little editing of the Bible there.
This is Ken's version?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see here.
I'm not sure where you got yours from.
Time out.
What was the text that you quoted it?
Yeah.
Well, for the Son of Man will come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and his reward will be
27.
27?
Oh, there you go.
1627?
Good eye.
27.
Thank you.
Oh.
So it's not that I can't read, it's that I can't type.
No, 1627.
1627.
I was going to say, I don't understand.
Matthew 16:27. Thank you for telling me I'm wrong. That means you're looking. That's a good way to be. Keep me honest. So let's read that again, now that we have the correct interpretation of where the words came from. Matthew 16:27 says, for the Son of Man will come in the glory of his Father with his angels, and then he will reward each according to his works. Or like I said in another translation, he will judge all people according to their deeds. And we, like I say, we know what that group is like from what we read earlier in Revelation. So what is their reward going to be? Back to Revelation chapter 20. Revelation chapter 20, 653. Revelation chapter 20. Here we are back to the 1,000 years. Verses 7 and 8. Revelation 20, verses 7 and 8. We read, the end of the 1,000 years has come, and Satan gets released from his prison and deceives the nation, whose numbers is like what? The sand of the seashore. That sounds like a lot of people. That you've got a very small beach. So, if he is released from his prison and deceives the nations, whose number is like the sand of the seashore, what do we know will have taken place? There has to be a resurrection in there somewhere, doesn't it? Okay. The unrighteous will have been resurrected, and that's this large group of sand people that you see. Okay, in verses 8 and 9, here it says that this deceived group is gathering for war, and they come up on this broad plain of the earth and surround what? The city of the beloved.